Pay attention to how you feel, and also pay attention to the microphone. What happens and when does it start to change? Sometimes it needs to be right here, that sweet spot. I would like to have Harvey Fisher give the speech objectives for our first speaker. Our first speaker will be Bob Avalone. Harvey, from your seat.
The title of Bob's speech is My Life in 7 Minutes. It is from Project One, the entertaining speech. His objectives are entertain the audience by relating a personal experience, organize an entertaining speech for maximum impact, time 5 to 7 minutes. Bob?
And here's what Bob had to say. Feeling alive. My family makes me feel alive, plus my activities. Toastmasters, town meeting, political action, and the Osher program at Tufts. Please give a warm welcome to Bob Avalone.
Thank you, Rob. Some of you may not know this, but I was a member of Toastmasters about 12 years ago, and then I dropped out because of work. So at that time I did my 10 speeches and I gave my icebreaker. So I hadn't had a chance to really do an icebreaker. So this is kind of my life in 7 minutes. And I'm going to start with 3rd grade. When I was in 3rd grade, my parents took me out of a private school, sent me to the Metro Public Schools. And that's when I started being bullied. I was bullied by the other boys on the way home from school. We generally we walked home. And it got so bad at one point, my mother, I remember this incident of calling another boy's mother. And the boy answered, she started to berate him even before she talked to the mother. So when it came to be, in those days we called junior high 7th and 8th grade. And my parents figured if I went to public schools and on to Medford High, the bullying would get worse. So they sent me to a private school. They sent me to a private boys' school, a Catholic boys' school. And they may have been right. It may have been the fact that the lesson of bullying probably would have been worse, but it did continue in high school. Now there's 2 kinds of bullying. There's the physical bullying where you punch, kick, slap, that kind of thing. And then there's the psychological bullying. People don't want to be your friend, they insult you, they make fun of the things you say. And of the 2, the second one, the psychological bullying, is actually worse on the psyche. That's more lasting. You feel worthless, you feel like you're lacking in self-esteem. And I found that I had no respite from this except when I was alone with my family. Boy Scouts was the same thing. I was bullied. And caddy camp, they sent me to caddy camp in the summer for a while. I never quite figured out why me, what did I do to deserve this? But finally, the bullying got so bad again in high school. I complained to my parents, but I told them not to do anything because nobody likes a squealer. I finally told my father it's okay to report this to the headmaster. He made a big deal of it. It did embarrass me, but it did stop most of it. You have to understand that in those days, it's not like today where they preemptively talk about bullying and stopping it. In those days, the attitude was boys will be boys, and if you don't complain, nothing's done about it. So I went on to college, and by that time we were adults, we were young adults, and people were more mature, that kind of thing didn't happen. But I did have another problem at this point, and that was that this is the point where you're expected to start dating, forming relationships. And I was always, in my youth, exposed to male-only institutions, and I didn't have a sister. I didn't really know how to deal with the opposite sex. Plus the bullying left me with lacking self-esteem. I had a hard time getting dates. I had dates now and then, but there were vast periods where I was alone. I did have friends, but it was the society revolves around being part of a couple, even though there are some people that can't be happy as being single. It made it real hard. Like I'd go to a dance and everybody would get up and dance and I'd be sitting there alone. It was real hard. And this continued until I reached the age of 39 when I met my wife, my now wife Jan, and we agreed on politics and religion, the big two, and then we had a lot of other things in common. We liked to do the same things. We hit it off, and we got married 18 months later, and then within a year, I think it was a little over a year, my son Mike was born to join my life, and this whole feeling, meeting a woman, getting married, and having a child, this kind of vivified my life. We went on, and at this point I had my own friends, I had my wife's friends. The next thing was, went on to, when my son got old enough to be in college. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. When my son got old enough to go to kindergarten, that's when we moved to Lexington, because we wanted him to be in a good school community. We were living in Medford. And from that point, I eventually got involved in the community of Lexington. I joined town meeting. So I'm an elected official in my hometown. My life is going pretty good. I overcame a lot of this bullying in my childhood, but there still is lingering feeling that comes to me sometime of lacking self-esteem. Why don't people like me? And it may be, I'm not sure, but it may be the reason that I'm so soft-spoken. When you talk and people make fun of you, then that may be the reason that I'm soft-spoken. I'm not sure. But I want to end my speech with the fact that bullying is a lingering problem, and that we should fight bullying and not let it happen. There are people that I overcame, but some people don't. People commit suicide, and the worst thing is some of these mass shootings are a result of people lashing out because they were bullied. So that's my final message. Mr. Toastmaster.